I'm going to go back. Let me go to the text in Amos, the 9th chapter and the 7th verse, and then we'll start our travel back in our time machine as we go back in history and come up to the time of Jesus. Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians? That's a question that the prophet Amos, under the inspiration of the Creator, is stating to his people, the house of Israel. Are ye not as the Ethiopians? And it's clear who the Ethiopians were. The word Ethiopia is a Greek word. Ethiops, which means burnt-faced people. The proper term is Kushite, which means people kissed of the sun. I like that one better. Kissed of the sun. And I mean, it was a juicy kiss. A soul kiss. The kiss that you mean from the heart. A deep kiss that the sun kissed us with. These Kushite people. While the ancient Greeks said that all of the ancient Greek writers, Homer, all of the, what some of the playwrights, I can't think of them, they don't come to my mind now, some of the, Strabo, all of the Greco-Latin, Lucian, Diodorus, Herodotus, the Greek historian, all of them said that Ethiopia was the home of the gods. Right. And that the blameless people lived there. The what? Right. The blameless people. Today the whole world points the finger at black folk, blame us for everything that go down. But back in those days, before the white man came into any degree of power whatsoever, he looked at the land from which we came and said, that is the land of the blameless people. They are the most perfect people that human beings can be on earth. This is what he said. He said it's the home of the gods, and all the Greek gods went back to Ethiopia. As Homer puts in his writings, back to Ethiopia to feast with their ancestors. Because the Greek gods and goddesses were no more than Kushite kings and queens and heroes. That's what they were. And white folks saw the great deeds they did. The things they did were so magnanimous. And Muhammad Ali would have become a god to the Greeks. They would have built a statue and bowed down to him for a man to knock that many people out in the ring like that. And to predict when he was going to do it. Joe Louis would have been an automatic god, breaking white folks' ribs in the ring and everything. So the deeds that we accomplished were so great, as Joel A. Rogers says, that the black man, or Negroes as he used them back in that day, were worshipped by the Greeks. They were the deities of the Greeks. They fell down on their knees before us and worshipped us because the deeds, we were so close to God. We did such great things that only gods could do this in their minds, in their young and feeble minds. So they bowed down to worship us. We should not have permitted that, because it led to something worse. We should not allow man to worship man. But I'm telling you, I'm pointing out the status of this one text in here, what this text opens up to you. Some folks say, well, throw the Bible away, man. You throw the Bible away, you throw a large portion of our history away. Yeah. The Bible is an African history book. What did I say? An African history book. Yeah. Mistranslated, tampered with, all messed up since white folks got their hand on it, but still it's an African history book. And if you have the keys of the Spirit and the keys of knowledge of our history, when you go into the book, you can see yourself. A lot of us wouldn't know anything about Egypt or about Ethiopia, about any of these great nations of old, if we hadn't first, been introduced to it through the Bible. So you can walk right through this book back into the ancient. When you get in this book, it's supposed to transform. You're supposed to be able to go back into the glory of the black man. Anytime you want to get away from all this foolishness out of here, this is one book. If you know how to go into it, you can walk right through the gates of this book and it'll take you back home. As brothers say, take the ship back, man. Take the ship back. Take it right back. Take it right back home. So these Ethiopians kissed of the sun, the blameless people, the most perfect people on earth, the most righteous people on earth. As Herodotus said, they were the longest lived people on earth. They were the prettiest people on earth. That's what this white boy said, Herodotus. That's great. He saw him first, and that's what he said. If you don't want to take my word for it, a white man said you were the prettiest thing in the world at that time. That's what he said. He said they lived, the average citizen, listen to this, lived to be 120 years old. Whoa, really? Now, y'all tell me I shouldn't be angry. You tell me I shouldn't be upset. It's not God-like. It's not Christian. But here I'm looking at people that I love dearly leaving this earth at 40 and 50, 65, 70. If you make it to 80, you're doing real good. And here I lived to be 121 times. Now, if anything done upset me, you done took about 40 or more years off my life to about the time of the writing of the book of Psalms. Man lived to be what? 70 years. Look how much it chopped off. And at the time that the Kushite, the people kissed of the sun, was living in Africa, and wherever we establish our kingdoms in the world, and I'll be talking about that in a minute, was living to be the average of 120. That means you had some older than that. The average of 120 years old, Greeks could hardly make it past 22. 50 years old, you were a god automatically. The Romans, in the heyday of their empire, the average age was 22 years old, and I got that from Ripley's Believe It or Not. In Europe, they were dying in their 20s, and we were living at least a century longer. Now the white folks is in power and switch this thing around. So now we have to get this power back.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, see, I'm not concerned about how long I live on earth. I'm just concerned about, see, this body is just a vessel, and I'm not concerned. I'm just concerned about my spirit and getting to heaven. If this body did not have a purpose, it would not have been sent here. The body is as important as the spirit, as important as the mind. We are a combination of those three vital elements, the mind, the body, and the spirit, and they must be harmoniously developed.
Yeah.
We don't have any business. How do we don't even get to begin our work on earth for the period of time that we're living now. Think of what we accomplished. No wonder we accomplished all that stuff 120. And the Egyptians, those misnomer Egyptians, the Kemetans as they call themselves, lived to be 110 because their lifestyle was a little rougher than ours back down south. See, down south, down in now, life was better than it was when you went further north. They even had a place called the Table of the Sun, where everybody, when we were sitting last night eating, that brought it back to my mind. This big table, Brother Jack, they put this big table out in this meadow and put all the food, because we always had plenty of food. Plenty of food. Can't nobody say that like the African. Have some, there's plenty, you know. Because we were used to plenty before other people came in our lands and invaded it and messed up the soil. Plenty of food. And on this table of the sun, it was there for anybody who was hungry that passed by. This was the hospitality of the Kushite. The Kushite was known to bathe 2 and 3 times a day in a stream that they said had the smell of violets. And that's where many people thought they got their longevity from. Very clean people, healthy people, hardly any sickness, good food, generous people. Even when they had to lock somebody up, because even in our high society, somebody would mess up, somebody would act a fool, they put them in gold chains. Gold chains, gold handcuffs, pure gold handcuffs. This is the kind of people we came from. And just that one word in there, are ye not as the Ethiopians unto me, opens a whole door there.
Yeah.
And what the text is saying, they are one and the same in terms of racial stock as the Ethiopians. That is what the text is saying, but that's still circumstantial. I'll give you a little more evidence on that.